What's going on, everybody? We are at the farm today in my office, and I had a couple of interesting conversations that really just, and they always seem to lead me back on these videos to bidding. And I've mentioned it before. The only way to make money in this industry right here is approvals, and the only way to get approvals is to bid, and the only way for your bids to be accepted, approved, and resent back out as approvals is for them to be done correctly. I have seen people write the bids down on a piece of paper and take a picture of it in their, PPW or Proven or whatever, and maybe not everybody's as technologically advanced as others, but that is not a way to get them approved, And I've had some conversations with several people who work for these companies, pre-sale, post-sale, wherever, and they always mention the same thing to me, that I do really, really, really good bids. I'm very descriptive, and we do, as a whole, my company, a phenomenal job at getting back approvals, which is how I keep all of these people going every day. And I think the tenure of my business, as well as the amount of people that I have working for me on a day-to-day basis, is a testament of that. So when I speak on it, I am speaking from experience. And I didn't just roll into this, knowing this stuff. I had to suck for, quite some time until I finally figured out the best way to do stuff. And I would call these girls up here, at these national companies, and I would ask them, what can I do to be better? What is other people in the industry doing with their bids that are better than what I'm doing? And I've done that a lot, and I've done it for a long time until I finally got to the point where I'm at now. And you can ask some of the contractors who work for me, and I've trained them personally on how to do this. But if you ask Danny, he would say, I don't know what Josh does. I don't know how he manages to pull it off, but if him and I were to go bid the same properties, he would get twice the approvals as me. Even if we bid the same stuff. And a lot of it is just understanding the process. I don't understand it completely, 100%. But every day, every time I do it, every approval that comes back, I learn a little bit more. So my goal, is to save you guys all of that headache of having to learn the hard way. The only information that I can give you is information that I've learned, and obviously the way that I'm doing it. I did not piggyback off of nobody, but there was no instruction book for me. I didn't have anyone around here to reach out to. Still to this day, I don't even know personally anybody in the same state as me who does this. And certainly not that I can communicate and bounce ideas off of. So everything that I tell you, I just learned from experience. So, bids. What I tell everybody, and this whole philosophy started with photos, because if you are doing something and you start at photo 1, and then you go to the very last photo, all the photos in between need to tell a story from that photo to this photo. And I preach that to all of my guys, my contractors, everybody who does work for me, is your photos must tell a story. And it is the same exact thing with the way that you write up your bid sheet. There needs to be detail. There's a dilapidated play set, in the rear yard that needs to come down. You could very easily bid demo play set, but that's very likely to get skimmed over and not paid much attention to. But if you wrote it in such a way that it caught someone's eye, if you said, demo 8-foot by 10-foot dilapidated playset posing severe safety hazard or fall hazard, then that would be something, in my opinion, that stands a greater chance at getting approved rather than just demo playset. And, you know, the people go through and they'll do these initial secures and these winterizations, and they'll take a tremendous amount of time doing them and making sure they do them right. But then when it comes time to bid, they're just trying to get in, done, and get out, which is the absolute wrong philosophy, okay? Everything you do is super important that you do 100%, including bids. Because you don't want to have to make more than one trip to any property unless it's for something new that's generating you money. So the way we do initial secures, I do everything except the grass. So I always ask for the grass. That's why I never did like NFR. But I always prefer it when the initials come through and the grass is separate, which I've discussed that, because in my van that does not pull a lawnmower, I have everything that I can need to bid every single thing that I could ever come across. And it's just me. I put my AirPods in, I turn on some music, I try to get in my zone, and I bid everything with detail, in order. I do not skip nothing. And I spend 70% of my time when I'm bidding on the exterior of the home. Because your trees, your vines, your shrubs, your saplings, all of that stuff, okay, is easy stuff to get approved for them to get reimbursed. I mean, it's just easy stuff. When you're bidding to trim a tree, the way you position your body when you're taking a picture of this tree can dictate how much you're telling them the tree is touching the house. Now, obviously, the tree is touching the house, but you can stand in such a way that it makes it to where the tree looks like it's barely touching the house. But if you move 7 foot in the other direction, you can really see how much this tree is touching the house. And you want to take the time to position yourself to the spot that is in your best interest, that does the best job at telling the story that you're trying to tell, which is, hey, this tree is damaging the roof, it's damaging the fascia, it's damaging the siding, and it needs to be trimmed. And you need to be taking the time to do that. The same thing with the shrubs. Do you just want to snap 2 pictures from the yard of the shrubs and think that's good? Absolutely not. You want to walk around. You want to be behind the shrubs. You want to show them that the shrubs are clearly touching the house. They're clearly overgrowing the deck and touching the handrails. All of that stuff. You want to take plenty of pictures. And then you want to write your bids up explaining all of the things that you took photographs of. So trim 41 linear foot overgrown shrubs, touching the foundation, touching the siding, overgrowing the deck, touching the handrails, all of that stuff. And you want to be very, very descriptive, and you want to take your time. If you're going through and you see saplings inside of the shrubs growing through, you need to bid to remove those saplings separate from the shrubs. So you don't want to just trim 41 linear foot of shrubs and then just trim the 17 tree saplings that's growing in them while you're, trimming the shrubs, because 1, they're going to grow quicker than the shrubs, so they're going to come right back. And 2, you're just cutting yourself right out of extra money. So you just need to bid to remove them. And you can, most of the time, we just take a shovel, a machete, something, they're not very big, put under them, pop them right out, and pull them out, root ball and everything. So those are just things that you need to be looking at. When you get on these roofs, these companies, and I cannot stress this enough, will go to any means necessary not to replace the entire roof. So do not get up there and spend an hour and a half of your time on this roof trying to convince them that they need to replace the entire roof. Because unless the entire inside of that house is soaking wet, they are going to tell you we only want to replace what needs to be replaced. So get up there, and you're going to have to put a little work into it. I mean, that's the thing. I just from the Facebook, and from some of the comments, it's like, if you have to work, it's like a bad thing. If you have to spend any extra time doing anything, it's like a bad thing. Well, it's not, because this is what puts the food on the table for all of us. So if the client that pays our bills is saying, look, we don't want to replace the entire roof, we just want the thing to not leak, then you have to say, well, they are the ones cutting the check, so I guess I'll do what they want me to do. And you can express to them that you don't want any liability in it, and that you will guarantee the area that you replace and nothing more, and that's perfectly acceptable. But get in the attic, figure out exactly where the roof is leaking, and bid to replace that exact amount. Now, would I bid to remove and replace 13 square foot of shingle? No. I'm going to do just, we're doing one today. Same thing. I mean, I'm going to do a minimum of a square. And then I'm going to go and manually input it in our repair base so that it's worth a little more than what you would typically get for it, because it is the only thing, and because I am having to investigate the issue, and because it is a pain in the butt taking off and removing and replacing sections of roof, and then it's also not satisfying, so it's not all that joyful to do. But that's what they want. They're the ones who pay the bills. Do it, So don't spend, like I said, an hour and a half on there measuring off your hips, your ridges, you're counting your vent boots, your ridge caps, you don't have to do all that, because unless the entire roof actually needs to be replaced, and like I said, it pretty much just needs to be leaking in the entire home. So focus on what needs to be done, because, oh, by the way, to replace the entire roof is gonna take forever. It's going back and forth on the other side of this that we don't see, that it's gonna take a tremendous amount of time. So we're trying to get in and bid. I mean, every time I get a new property to go bid, in my mind, I'm thinking we're gonna be receiving work from this. This will be an approval in 2 to 3 weeks. That's kind of what I shoot for. Well, I don't want to, if I have to bid a roof replacement and it's a legitimate roof replacement, and I know they're going to approve the legitimate roof replacement, it takes months. So it just kicks everything else kind of down the road too, because some of these, when they submit them, they'll get approvals back. But the approvals don't just come back to them like they do us, where they just all come back at once. It's like a couple of things will get approved, and then a couple more things will get approved. And depending on what national you work for, depends on whether they're waiting to get all of the approvals back, or whether they'll send you out there to do a quarter of the approvals that got approved first. Some will, some won't. So you don't want some, huge roof replacement holding up all the rest of the work that you could be doing. And then it's way different when they do get approved than what you originally bid anyway. So, focus on, and I cannot stress this enough, the outside stuff. On the interior of the home, are we bidding baseboards? No, we're not bidding baseboards, because in all the time that I've been doing this, they've not replaced the baseboards unless it's a rehab. Sheetrock, water spots, mold. We replace a lot of the base of a, bathroom vanity or the kitchen sink, whatever the case. We replace a lot of those. Lots of bio washing, lots of kilting, lots of removing sheetrock. And in my experience, a lot more of the sheetrock gets replaced in the ceiling than it does in the walls. I mean, I think it's kind of hit or miss. Some will, some won't, some prefer it, some don't. So, a lot of the times on the walls, even if you bid, and I always do bid to remove it and replace it, but a lot of the times they'll just approve to remove it and not to replace it, which is perfectly fine with me. It's easier. And then it's the same thing with the ceiling. But if I went in there and I had 65 line items that was inside the house, that 65 line items would account for less profit for me at the end of the day than 25 line items on the exterior. And that is a promise. I'm not fudging, I'm not lying, that is a fact. The majority of the money in this industry is to be made on the exterior of the house. And if they change that, if the rules right now changed where, hey, we don't care nothing about the exterior of the house, I'd get out of this business. Because there's no fun way to make a decent amount of money on the insides of these houses. They just don't pay enough. For the time it takes, for the haggle, You know, a lot of the stuff you can't see until you remove some of the other stuff, so then you have to stop and you have to rebid stuff. Everything on the inside of the house is a pain in the butt if you do it right. So I bid it all and we do it all, but not without spending a tremendous amount of time on the exterior of the home. Sidewalks, holes in the yard, you know, gosh, handrails, steps, decks, you know, outbuildings, floors in the outbuilding. There's just so much stuff outside that can be bid. And listen, if you're one of these companies who's in this right here and you think that the big money ticket in this industry is trash outs, you are mistaken and you're doing it wrong. In my opinion, based off the way that we operate, the least amount of money is in grass cuts. The second, profit-wise, the second is initial secures, and the third is debris removals. The fourth is pretty much anything on the inside of the house, and the fifth, which being the best, would be anything on the exterior of the house. But trash outs are not all that great. In fact, I don't enjoy them. I don't look forward to them. I've got 4 of them right now we got to go do that. I've got everything else lined up before that because I'm just, you know, they're a haggle. It's expensive. You got to pay people to pick it up. You got to bag up everything. You got to get it to the dump. You have to pay your dump fees. It takes time. It's just aggravating, and it's not, in comparison to a lot of other stuff, it's not all that lucrative. And oh, by the way, you need to be bidding your green debris generated from all of the trimming you're doing. So, the thing is, I really just wanted to touch base with everybody, and I just want this people to be successful. You know what I mean? Like, I like to see people make it, because I was there. You know, and I was in situations when I first started this business where, to be honest, I didn't think I was going to make it financially. I mean, that was the big thing. It was, you know, so I know it's hard, and I think a lot of people get in it, probably have the capability of doing it. They just miss a few little tidbits of information early on that you know, could end up making or breaking them, and this is one of those things. To me, the most important process for our company in all of the processes is the bidding process. It's the one I think should take the most time. It's the one that you should do the most research on. Because look, if you're doing a winterization and you screw it up, it's going to get rejected and you can go back and fix it. It's going to cost you money, but you can go back and fix it. You screw the bids up, 1, you're not going to make the money that you should have made, and 2, there's going to be nobody there to check it. So they're going to do whatever it is you submit, and then whatever it is wrong with the house that you missed and you didn't submit, you're going to end up having to go back and do it for free along with whatever it broke at cost. So, you know, the bids, you need to take a tremendous amount of time doing. I don't think it's something you should ever do with more than one person, because more than one person is a distraction. That's my philosophy, is a distraction. You ask anybody who's around me, they'll tell you, you know, when I'm going to do this stuff, I'm by myself. I don't want anybody with me. I turn my phone down where I can't hear it. I don't take calls, and I focus on what it is I'm doing so that I can produce the best possible product for my customer, as well as the best approval for me and my employees to maintain the lifestyle that we're living as far as coming to work every day and getting a check every Friday. So that's just my opinion on it. I hope you guys can take something away from this. I really freaking wish that I don't do a lot of social media stuff, and for obvious reasons, I don't want to put my phone number out here. And I don't, the only email I use is my company email. So I have to figure out something. I don't know how all these people communicate with other people, to where you don't have to use, your company email and your cell phone. So if anybody knows how to do all that incognito stuff or whatever it is, you tell me and I'll create it, because I would love to be able to communicate with you. I'd love for y'all to be able to send me a message on something or another, asking me a question, and me get back to you and tell you, because I want to help you. I want the business as a whole to be better, because look, the better we are as a whole, the more we can all charge collectively. that's kind of my philosophy. And you know, I'm sure you all been behind some of these people and you just wonder sometimes, like, what in the heck? Or, I mean, how could you walk away from this right here and be proud of it? And, you know, you kind of get a little burnout on seeing that type of stuff. And so hopefully we can all get better together. That's why I make these videos, and this isn't like my favorite thing to do. I don't have like a video friendly face. So, you know, I hope you guys do understand. I want to help everyone, but, I hope you guys have a good day. It's freaking cold down here again. I'm so aggravated with that. I hate the cold weather, but maybe it'll be gone by next week. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great week and a great spring. Hopefully, like I say, this cold weather goes away and we can get back to wearing short sleeves. But see ya.